Hey guys, how you doing? Yeah, I just finished watching, the premiere episode of AEW Dynamite on TNT, and I just wanted to sort of give my thoughts of what I thought about the show overall. So overall, I just want to say right off the bat that I think the show was pretty good. It was a nice, welcome change of pace from like what WWE has been providing. So, I think it was a pretty good show. So to start off, it was Cody versus, I don't quite remember the guy's name, but, it was a pretty good match. There's a lot of good sequences in that match, and Cody gets the win in the end, and the other guy, they go to shake hands, but, it was all set up, and Chris Jericho attacks Cody, and, I think that beatdown was a pretty good beatdown. It went in through the commercial break, and they did the picture-in-picture, and, honestly, I normally don't like picture-in-picture stuff when they do it on, like, WWE, but I think the way AEW did it, I think it was pretty good, So after that, they had MJF against, I really don't remember the other guy's name, but, MJF comes down, does his normal shtick where, he's calling, the audience and the viewers at home and everyone losers and everything, and, I thought that was pretty good, really got me fired up. I just wanted to, I just want to say, MJF, if you're listening, say that to my face, not on TV, and see what happens, But, anyways, the match, I thought it was a pretty good match, it did look like the other fella there that he might have tweaked his knee a little bit or something, so they had to scramble to sort of finish the match early, which kind of sucked. But I think the match overall was pretty good. Afterwards they kind of had to scramble to sort of fill the time because the match got cut short. So they did a short interview with Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes, who were in the audience, and they did some interviews with some of the teams in the tag team tournament, and I think that was pretty good. I think that was a pretty good way to fill the time. Anyway, so I think they did a pretty good job at doing that. Obviously it was a little rushed. They didn't plan everything out as much as they would like to. It was a lot of improv, but they did a pretty good job, I would say. So after the MJF match, they had Adam Page against Pac, and I hadn't seen much of Pac, ever since he was in WWE as Neville. I mean, I saw a few of his matches in Defiant, but I haven't really followed him too closely, so I forgot how good he was. Really, he was pretty good. So overall, I think the match with Adam Page and Pac, it was pretty good. They put on a really good match, had a lot of really good sequences in it, and in the end, Pac hits I guess they're calling it the Black Arrow now, and he puts it into a submission. I can't remember what the submission was called, but it was pretty good. And that's one thing I will say. What I've noticed is AEW does a lot more submission finishes, which I think is it's a pretty good, change of pace from, what WWE is doing. WWE doesn't do a lot of submission finishes, in my opinion. And I seem to see that a lot from AEW, so I think that was pretty good. So that was a pretty good match, too. After that, we had the match to crown the inaugural Women's Championship between Rio and Nyla Rose, and that was a pretty good match. they went back and forth a little bit. They had good psychology in it and everything, so that was pretty good. Rio wins, and afterwards, I think that was Michael Nakazawa. Yeah, he comes out to congratulate her, but Myla Rose comes up and just like tries to get him up for a powerbomb. Doesn't quite get it at first, but eventually pulls through and powerbombs the shit out of him. And I think that powerbomb was pretty good. I mean, obviously she kind of messed it up at first, but I mean, what do you expect? You gotta give her credit. She did power through it and pull off the powerbomb, so I think that was pretty good. So after that, it was time for the main event. It was the 6-man tag team match with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, the Elite, versus Chris Jericho and the former LAX. And overall, I think that match was pretty good. About 10 minutes into the match, Jon Moxley shows up and takes Kenny Omega out, and they brawl to the outside and into the back, and he I think he like suplexes him through a glass table. And sorry, there's an airplane flying overhead. I live near an airport, so that's just something you have to sort of deal with here, but it's gone now. Like I was saying, that was pretty good. It was a pretty good brawl. It ended really well, and and then they cut to commercial. When they came back, I was kind of wondering what happened to Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley. Are they ever going to go back to that? But the rest of the match was pretty good. And in the end, Jericho's team comes out on top, which I think was pretty good. And they do a post-match beatdown on the Bucks, and eventually Cody and Dustin come out to try to make the save, but then we see a Jake Hager, formerly known as Jack Swagger, come out to help Jericho and his team. And I think that brawl was pretty good. It introduces Jake Hager, and that was nice to see a new face show up. For the first episode, get one of those unexpected run-ins from someone. So that was pretty good. So my overall feelings about AEW Dynamite, obviously, I think the big thing, they have to work on their production a bit more. There were a lot of times where the audio wasn't quite mixed as well as you might get from WWE, but overall, it's pretty good, I would say. Pretty good.